Well, people of YouTube, I am sleepy, have zero energy, but I'm going to make a long video. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a long video because I figured I'm going to make up for the days that I haven't been making videos. So I'll make this one really long. It'll be super low energy. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a chilled out video? Is that what the young people say these days? Chilled? Is it chilled out? Is it low key? Yeah, I'm gonna make a low key video. Yeah, it's gonna be super low key. I love that I've gotten old enough to act stupid and be like, "What do the kids say these days?" I'm a kid, but now I'm the person who says, "What do the kids say these days?" I'm a kid. I'm just like a little silly little kid, right? And somehow I became older. I was gonna say old, but I somehow became older. It's funny how that happens. I was a dumb, silly little kid. Now I've gotten old enough to be like, what do the kids say these days? Right? Isn't that weird? Life is strange. Life is strange. But it is true though, that sort of saying of how when you're an adult or when you get older, people who are young look at you like you're this older person. Like, but you're really just like a kid pretending to be an adult. I feel like that's what you're doing. Yeah, because the essence of who you are doesn't really change, but somehow you get older. It's a weird thing. Like your body keeps getting older, but the essence of who you are doesn't get older. But your body gets older, so you're just older. It's weird. It's really, really weird. Where was I going with this? I forget. Oh, no, yeah, the idea that adults are mostly just children playing adult. Oh, and also I was thinking, like, what I was thinking was how crazy it is that, like, when I was younger, it's gonna sound so horrible, but when I was younger, like when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, probably even 21, probably even like in my early 20s, when I saw someone my age, I thought they didn't exist. This is gonna sound so horrible. I thought they weren't real. I didn't think you actually ever get that age. I thought the people that were as old as me were just like extra characters in the game just to pretend like there's different ages. But I didn't think I would ever be that age. So when I was younger and I saw somebody the age that I am now, I didn't think it was real. Like I didn't think that was an actual age you ever become. I thought those were just extra characters in the game. Because to me, they were so far away from me, I couldn't visualize that age. To me, that wasn't a real number. And I remember, like, even in school when people would be like, you know, and then when you're this age and then you do this, I'm like, what are we even talking about? That's not a real age. That's not something no one ever becomes, right? Because when you're like young, I didn't even think it was possible for me to be that age. I'm not joking. In fact, I'm pretty sure I thought I was going to die young. I still got time. I gotta like maybe a couple more years to go before I can still die relatively young. But I always thought I was going to die young. I'm not sure if I just always thought I was going to die young or if I just couldn't conceive of being old. I think that's what it is. Maybe it wasn't so much that I thought I was going to die young. I just couldn't conceive of being old. Now, here's what's funny. Why that's funny. By the way, most of this is just going to be me just rambling for a very long time to make up for all the videos I didn't make. So this video is about nothing in general. So, okay, I just cut myself off and I lost my train of thought. Okay. The irony of the fact that I couldn't think of myself getting older, I couldn't conceive of getting older. Why that's funny is that since the time I was very young, I've always thought about concepts and things like all the time, right? I always think about life, existence, different concepts, abstract concepts, philosophical concepts. And out of everything that I would always think about, the one thing I couldn't conceive was me being older. I don't know what it was. I could conceive and think of any concept, but the idea of when I was younger, to imagine myself being old, I couldn't conceive it. How weird is that? I couldn't conceive it. And this is going to sound very metaphysical and woo, but I think it's because when I close my eyes, I don't see an age. When I close my eyes, I just see an essence of who you are. And I remember I have two younger brothers after my dad got remarried. And I remember when one of them was 15, right? And I was when one of my brothers was 15, I was so let's see. 15. Okay, when he was 15, I was like 33, 34. So here I am as a 33-year-old guy or a 34-year-old guy. My younger brother's 15, and we would talk for like hours on the phone and just talk about ridiculous stuff. I mean, and most people would probably think, that's why the reason I mentioned this is because it always bothers me when people, like, what kind of fucked up person are you? Like, when people say shit like, "Oh, really? You were talking to your 15-year-old brother for hours on the phone. What do you have in common with a 15-year-old? Like, are you a complete moron? What is wrong with you? Are you so dead inside that you can only relate to somebody who's exactly your age? What the fuck is wrong with you?" And not only that, but then you have this condescending attitude like, "Oh, really? What do you have in common with a 15-year-old?" It's kind of very similar to the idea of like, if like a woman and a man get married and there's like a big age gap difference and they're like, "Oh, really? So you're like 40 and you married somebody who's 22. What do you have in common with a 22-year-old? What fucking business is it of yours? If they're happy together and they love each other and they make each other happy, what the fuck does it matter?" And also my point is, you can talk to anybody. So I have two younger brothers. So at the time when I was 33, 34, one of them was 15 and the other one was, so when my brother was 15, my other brother was like, he was like 6 years old, 5 or 6. And I used to freaking hang out with them all the time. He was hilarious, right? So I would hang out with my younger brothers all the time. And what I would realize is that there is no age when I'm hanging out with them. It's just three people hanging out. And when my brother was 15, I used to talk to him for hours and we used to have a laugh and like talk about whatever. And it just really made me realize that like, when I close my eyes, you can relate to anybody. You can relate to a 2-year-old. It's actually easier to relate to somebody who's younger. I can't, this is probably why I couldn't, when I said when I was younger and I saw older people, they were like invisible to me because I had no concept of it. It's very easy for me to relate to younger people because I've experienced that. So when I talk to my 15-year-old brother, I'm there with him. I'm like, dude, I know what it means to be 15. I've been 15. Like, we're the same here. I know I'm not 15 anymore, but I can talk to you about anything that has to do with being you right now because I've experienced that. Or when I would hang around with my littlest brother who was 5 and 6 at the time, I'm like, I know what it means. I still remember being 5 and 6. So, but like talking to somebody who's way older than me is actually more difficult because I can't relate to them at all. So I think that's why I can never envision myself getting older. So when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, and I saw somebody who was older, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I had no concept of it because I've never experienced it. But this idea of like, oh, what do you have in common with that person when they're so much younger? everything because you were that age also. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're so cool now, you're so advanced that like you can't even relate to somebody. And that's the biggest problem when parents become shitheads. It's parents who get older and they forget what it means. They forget what it meant to be younger. And then they treat their kids in this condescending, shitty attitude. Like, are you stupid? Do you not remember being young and stupid? Oh, you're above that now, so you talk down to them and you make them feel like shit. That's what happens. You forget what it was like being 15, and then you end up talking to them in this shitty attitude like, what is wrong with you? Why are you so stupid? They're 15. They're going to make a million mistakes. So I think that's why my brother likes talking to me, because I don't judge him. Like any stupid thing he does or anything he talks about, I just say, yeah, I get it. I was 15. I understand. So like, I don't make him feel like an idiot for being 15. So he trusts me. I've built that relationship with him where even though I'm way older than him, when he tells me something stupid, I don't go, why would you do that? Why are you such an idiot? Because I remember what it means to be 15, right? And people easily forget. So that they get older and they're like, what do you have in common with a 15-year-old? Well, you have everything in common, but you're just so fucking up in your head that you're just so cool now and so much more advanced and so much wiser that you just can't relate to them. They're just idiots, right? But that's just, it's ridiculous because you were 15 also. So that's why it's very easy for me to relate to anyone who's younger because I've experience with it. Much, much easier for me to relate to anyone who's younger than older. Yeah. That's what I've been thinking about lately. Let's see, what else has been going on? This is almost like a podcast form now. I used to do this podcast called Tony's Dark Roast Talk where I would press record and force myself to talk for an hour straight. It was almost like a fun challenge, you know? I'm like, could I press record and talk for an hour straight? And I did 5 episodes and I realized, yes, I can. Because we've all been given gifts in life. Some people are tall. Is that a gift, being tall? Or some people are good at math, or some people are good at baking. But I definitely can talk an endless amount of time. Yes. It's very easy to talk. Very, very easy to talk. You know, I've talked to people before about that, about this idea of, kind of breaks my heart sometimes when I've known people in life that have a hard time expressing themselves, or let's say you're having a conversation with somebody that you know, somebody that you care about, and they just have a really hard time telling you what's on their mind, what they're feeling. And it's kind of sad when you see that, because some people have difficulty expressing their thoughts and their emotions. And it's sad because it's like, you look at them and you know they want to tell you something and they don't know how to say it. Some people just can't communicate very well. And with people like that, I sometimes wish I can just take their brain and put it inside my head so I can see what they're thinking, right? Because, you know that saying, like, communication is everything. In any sort of relationship you have with somebody, if you communicate well with them, and honestly, it's usually always a good relationship. But so you need to be able to understand each other to the best of your ability and communicate. And if you can't, it's really hard sometimes. Now, generally speaking, even if they can't communicate well, I can usually feel what they're trying to say. That's another strange thing I've had. I've had the gift of GAB. Is that still a saying, the gift of GAB? I don't know. I don't even know if people understand what the hell that means. I think gift of GAB means like gabbing is just talking. Sometimes I don't even know. I don't think I've heard the expression gift of GAB since I was 15. So I don't even know if that's even a saying anymore. But another thing I've had since I was very little is, I hate saying the word because it's such a woo kind of word, and people like, but this idea of being empathic or feeling people's energy. I've always been able to feel people's energies like really intensely. And what's weird about that is, I actually get, I get happy when other people are happy. Like if I'm with you and you're happy, it makes me happy because I can feel the energy of that person. And now it's funny because you say that and you think, okay, that's cute. That's wonderful, Tony. But like, put it in a context where you kind of really understand what I mean by that. When I was little, my parents during the weekends would have a lot of friends over. You know, their adult friends, and they would hang out in the living room, have a glass of wine, drink, listen to music. They would just hang out. And, you know, when it got later on during the night, I'm like, well, it's time for I gotta go to sleep. So I'd go to sleep in my room. And I would lay down there in bed with my eyes closed. And I can hear everyone in the living room laughing and having a good time. And there was just like this large group of people in the living room laughing their ass off, having a good time, listening to music, telling stories. And it was almost like I was there with them. I was in bed sleeping, but I was closing my eyes and I realized, whoa, like I can feel like I can feel this radiance, this energy pumping through me as if I was there with them in the living room having those experiences. Like I was right there. I didn't know what that was when I was a kid. I didn't know that was what they call being empathic or feeling the energies around you. But so for me, it's like, even though I was going to sleep, I was in the living room partying with them because I can feel it all. So much so that even to this day as an adult, I still vividly remember just trying to go to sleep and having this pulsating energy around me. Yeah, that's why I need to be around good people, and I need to I'm very selective with the people that I let into my close group of friends, because I'm very hypersensitive to energies, and I need to be around good people who have a good energy. Otherwise, I really suck in that energy. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I think sometimes when people lack this empathy, it's not that they're assholes or that they're bad people. It's just almost like an ability, like maybe you can't see the color red. Someone's not an asshole if they can't see the color red. They just can't see the color red. And it's kind of like that. Like if the way you're made, your being, if you can't feel people's energies, it's much easier to hurt them. Because if I hurt somebody, it's basically like taking a knife and stabbing myself in the eye socket. If I realize I've really hurt somebody, to me that's like death. Because then I'll feel it exactly the way they feel it. So I would have to be completely psychotic to want to hurt somebody, because it would be like hurting myself. But somebody who can hurt someone and it doesn't affect them, they're like, well, I'm fine. I mean, you're hurting, but I'm cool. Then it's almost like, what would you expect from them? Because if you don't have the ability to feel someone else's pain or sadness, then you're going to act the way you're going to act. It's kind of like, what would you expect, right? Yeah, well, what would you expect? So it's like, if you can't feel other people's energies, you just can't feel them, you know? Because it's not like I chose to feel people's energies. It's just from the time I was very little, I always remember I was deeply affected by the energies around me. I didn't know what that was. It's not like I chose that. It just happens to be the way I was made up. Yeah, so the amount of empathy you feel for people, I think, really relates to just your ability to actually feel it. you know, to actually physically feel someone else's emotions. And everyone has a different level of that they can feel. Yeah. Let's see, I've been talking for 20 minutes. Now, the one downside about having this camera, I really like the camera I have. It's a Canon something. No, I know what it is, but I'm just going to say it's a Canon something because the model number doesn't really matter much. But the one downside is that after 30 minutes, it stops recording. Yeah. So you could only record up to 30 minutes. Even weirder than that, you can record up to 30 minutes and then it stops. But if you go past 24 minutes, it splits the video into 2 separate files. How insane is that? What the hell is that? So it can record for 30 minutes, but if you pass 24 minutes, it'll just split it up into 2 files. Then when you edit it, you have to like put them together. That's literally insane. Completely insane. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is that, well, I guess what I should do should just probably just end the video, or do I still talk? How long of a video would I have to make up for weeks of not making videos? And I'll keep talking. I mean, it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you just got to do the right thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop recording now and then press record again so I don't go over the time limit. What do you think about that? Yeah, I'll do that now. Watch. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to reopen them and it's going to be done. Did that work? I'm not sure if that worked. I opened and closed my eyes. Or no, I closed and opened my eyes. Yeah, I think that worked. So I haven't been making videos. Let's address that. It's a weird thing making videos. I sometimes wonder, like, how weird it would be to keep making videos, right? You keep making videos, the collar on these shirts drives me crazy. They get so loose. And then, here's the thing. I have this thing with t-shirts where back from like, I did this silent protest back in the day from like 2009 to about 2015 or 2016. For many years, I did this protest where I was just tired of buying new clothes. We have this thing with clothes where it's like you have to wear a new t-shirt every day, a new pair of pants every day, and every season it's like, oh, orange is the color that's in this fall. Orange is the color you want. And then everyone throws away their whole wardrobe and buys orange stuff. Oh, green is a new color that's in. And then it's just this over consumption of products, right? It's just ridiculous. And it's like, and also you go to, what shirt do I wear today? I wore that shirt yesterday. So I said, you know what? Screw it. So I just wore nothing but blank t-shirts. It was like, they're kind of this color, like an off black. They're not solid black, but sort of like a really super dark gray like this. And they were just plain t-shirts. I just bought a whole bunch of plain black t-shirts, and that's all I wore for years. And sometimes I want to go back to that, you know? By the way, those t-shirts that I bought years ago, they're still better than this. You know, these are all newer t-shirts, and look at them. They sag. What happened to the quality of t-shirts, guys? All of those old plain black t-shirts that I still wear to this day. If you look at some of my videos and you see the plain black shirt that's kind of this color, I've had them since 2009. I've washed them 1,000 times, 100,000 times, and they don't sag like this. You know what I mean? That's what I've been thinking about lately. That's kind of my catchphrase, I think. That's what I've been thinking about lately. Catchphrases are pretty cool, I guess, in a way. Catchphrases are cool unless it's a catchphrase, then it's not cool. So you have to like have a catchphrase, but not be aware that you have a catchphrase. Because if you start saying it as if it is a catchphrase, then it's done. You got to throw it away. You've ruined it. So even with me calling out that fact that, hey, that's kind of my catchphrase, I've ruined it. So you always got to be silent. Shh. If you have a catchphrase, don't mention it because you'll ruin it. You know, don't mention it. And don't ever mention it. That's what I've been thinking about lately. So, what else? So why have I not been making videos? Well, I have this weird feeling sometimes of like, I imagine I make videos, I keep making videos. Until when? Until I'm so old that I just die on camera, right? Yeah, like when do you stop making videos? You know? Because I feel like I've done what I wanted to do. I had one goal in my life as a younger person it wasn't even a goal, it was an itch. It was an itch that I had and a compulsion to do anything creative from the time I was very young. I got off on the idea of doing anything creative. And when I was younger, in grade school, I realized that I had a knack for writing. When I was in grade 7 and grade 8, the teacher would make us say, you have to write a short story. I didn't read. I don't read. I've never read a book. I just don't. I'm not a reader. You know? A lot of times when I say that, people say that's bullshit. Come on, you've read. I mean, I'm sure in grade school there must have been some little books that you had to read. And then in high school, you know, you have to do a project on a certain book. And I mostly would just bullshit my way through it. I would like maybe read a chapter or a few pages and just get some ideas to write an essay about it. But as an adult, I've never bought a book and read it. Like, I just don't read. But it's weird because I love books. I love libraries. How weird is that? I love library. In fact, I love books. Being in a library full of books, to me, there's just I can feel the energy of it. That's why I like it. Remember how I said that I have this thing where I can feel energies? I love the energy of a library. Libraries have such an incredible energy. It's like you're walking through these aisles of books and it's like there's so much. You're talking about books that have been written throughout history, and you're talking about the energy of so many people who've poured their hearts out, their minds, their souls writing these books. Because for some people, it took them a lifetime to write a book. So for some people, they wrote it in a year, but some people took them 10, 20 years to write this book. It's a big part of who they are, and I almost feel like you can feel everyone's soul, their energy in this library. So I love books. I think they're beautiful. Just for whatever reason, I just never got into reading books. But from the time I was young, I was able to write short stories. So I was in class, and the teacher in grade 7 and grade 8 would be like, write a short story. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess. And I would just start moving my pencil and writing. And then all of a sudden, oh, that just came out. Kind of like the way when I said I did those podcasts where I wanted to just press record and talk for an hour. I tried that because I was wondering, I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I could just, and then I realized, oh, yeah, I can just talk for an hour. It's not a big deal. So I realized that I had this knack for just writing, because to me, writing is kind of like talking, you know? And my teacher would like the short stories that I would write so much that she would read them in front of the class. She would look at me like, Tony, how the hell did you write this? I guess she must have been smitten by them. Is smitten still a word? I don't know. But, you know, she was low-key liking them. Yeah, that sounds more modern. But she would read the stories in front of the class, and then I thought to myself, oh, I guess there's something there. I didn't think anything of the stories because it was literally just me making sounds with my pen. So then I got into high school and I really got into music. I started listening to all these bands, and these musicians were blowing my mind, especially the singers. I really loved the singers. My dad's a musician. I've had guitars laying around since I was a little kid, right? So my dad's a musician. I've had guitars laying around since literally I was born, right? They were always around. I could have picked them up at any time. I didn't. But then when I got into high school and I started finding all these bands that I was obsessed about, especially the singers, it was the singers that really blew my mind. To this day, someone who could sing well, there's just something about someone who could sing that blows my mind. There's just something so magical about singing well. There's nothing that affects me like a really amazing singer. Like, I play guitar, but guitar always came easy to me, probably because my dad plays guitar, and it's funny how you're just like your dad, because my dad plays guitar, and guitar definitely comes easy to my dad, and he sings too, but like, you know, he sings like, you know, like a regular person, kind of like me. I sing like a regular person, so I can play guitar very easily. From the second I started playing guitar when I was 14, I picked it up really easy. It's very easy. I don't even know a lot of songs because I spend most of my time writing my own music, but it's a very easy instrument for me to play. But singing was mystical to me. Singing blew my mind, because I remember, I'm like, I want to sing these songs. So I'm like, let me try singing these songs. And I realized, oh, I can't sing them like that. I'm like, huh. And it mystified me. I'm like, oh, it made me like it even more. Like, I love when someone's better at me than something. When I was younger, I was always into sports also, right? And I would love it if I played someone that was better than me. Whatever it is, if I'm playing tennis or something, I just love, like, my eyes spark up, my eyes get big. If I play with somebody who's better than me, it kind of like gives me a spark, because it's like a nice challenge. I want to get to their level, so I love it. But then I would hear these singers, and I'm like, I don't think that's a level I can reach. There was like almost like a supernatural quality to it. And singing is a pretty magical thing. It's almost like, if you're not born as someone who could just naturally sing well, you can get better. Like, for example, I started off not being able to sing like a single note. I can't even start the song. I can't even find, what are you doing over there? And then I would just practice and practice by myself in my room. And I got to the level where, you know, I can get through a song. Like, I've never become like a mind-blowing, mesmerizing singer that's gonna, like, you know, like, win a singing competition. But I got to the point where if I practice a song, I can get through it. That's where I'm at, right? But I was obsessed about music, and I poured most of my, where am I going with this? Well, I'm going with this that for my younger days, from the time I was 14 to the time I was probably 30, I spent most of that time writing music, doing something creative with music. I played music with different people. I played a lot of music by myself. And I really got a lot of my energy out that way. And then, after doing that from the time I was 14 to the time I was in my 30s, that itch started to go away. I'm like, I did as much as I could with it. With the amount of ability I have, I was able to write songs. Writing came easy to me, so I can write songs. But, you know, putting them all together and singing them to the best of my ability, I kind of felt like I reached a point where I did all I could with it. to my ability. You know what I mean? And then after that, I got deep into meditation. So when I hit 30, in my 30s, I spent a lot of time inwards just doing meditating and releasing from that. I needed time to release from that because I was so obsessed with music. From the time I was 14 to the time I was 30, to the time I was probably in my mid-30s, I was really music was the only thing I've ever been really obsessed about. It meant everything to me. Literally everything. I would have done anything for it. Literally anything. From the time I was 14 to the time I was probably in my mid-30s, I sacrificed everything for music. I mean, relationships, everything. I did not have a single girlfriend from the time I was 14 to the time I was 35. I was unable to have a relationship with anybody because anybody who knew me during that time knew that music was my number one priority, and I made it apparent. I would tell anybody, any girl that I knew, I would say, listen, music's my number one priority. I'm always going to put that first. It's my life. It's my entire existence. It's what I want to do. So it was very hard, even friendships. It was very hard to keep because when people wanted to go out and party and have fun, we're going out to dinner, we're having a drink at this place, I would be like, I'm going to stay. I would be locked in a room working on a song. Now that sounds funny because I wasn't this musical genius, like this guy who was going to like take over the world. No, I was just a regular guy who just really loved music. And writing a song, putting something into the universe that never existed before blew my mind. The creative process blows my mind. Whether when I was a kid and I would write a short story, whether I write a song, whether even when I make a YouTube video, it blows my mind that you can create something and put it into the universe. And so I was so obsessed with music that from the time I was 14 and the time I was 35 probably, I sacrificed everything for it. I sacrificed friendships. I sacrificed relationships. There was an innocence about it because I wanted it to be so pure and uncontaminated by anything. That's why I never even really learned a lot of songs. I didn't want to know. I love all these musicians, and you would think that since I play guitar very, very easily, I would want to learn all these awesome songs by these musicians, but I was never motivated by trying to learn other people's songs. Listening to them would inspire me to create my own thing. That's what it inspired me to do, and I was so obsessed with that. So then after that, when I started weaning off of that a little bit, slowly during my 30s, it started slowly fading, and by the time I reached my late 30s, I got to a place where now I can still maybe write some songs, but I'm not obsessed about it anymore. That obsession is not there anymore. And I started becoming lonely. I started becoming really lonely because I spent so much of the time by myself trying to do something creative. I spent so much time by myself. In fact, I spent so much time by myself from the time I was 14 to the time I was probably 35 that it's amazing that I can still communicate with people and seem even remotely normal, because I really should just be fumbling my words And you think I would go outside in public and be socially awkward, and like when I see people in a coffee shop, I put my head down and I'm mumbling, but I'm actually very comfortable around people. It's weird because you would think secluding yourself for that many years would make you very socially awkward around groups and people, but no, I feel completely fine and comfortable around people. So it wasn't like I was doing it to hide away from people. I like people. I was just so obsessed with getting out some sort of creativity. And like I said, if I had the choice between going out with a group of friends and hanging out, going to a place and writing, or sometimes I would sacrifice that even at the possibility, because think about it this way. If a group of friends say, let's go out and do something, I'm like, I'm going to stay in. There was no guarantee that I'm going to stay in and write some song. It's just like, I thought just because I'm there, the potential, I'm just going to grab my guitar, fiddle around with it for a few hours, and maybe something will come out of it. And usually something would come out of it, but it wasn't a guarantee. But like I would be willing to sacrifice that just for the potential that something could come out of it. That's how obsessed I was with it. And then like I said, I got older, and then I became kind of more lonely. I'm like, I'm done with that obsession. And then I started making YouTube videos. And then when I started making YouTube videos, it tickled that obsession for creativity again. And I think I've made like 200 videos, 300 videos. I don't know how many. I've made hundreds of videos, I think. And I feel like I got that out too. I got out my creativity through my videos. You know, I did with my videos the same thing I did with my music, which is I tried putting out something that I felt was I challenged myself to do something that it's hard to even put it into words, because I'm not sure what exactly I challenged myself to do. You know, I guess just get out whatever I have inside of me. That's what I challenged myself to do. I challenged myself to get out of my own way, to literally get out of my own way and let whatever comes out, comes out. And I used to do that with my short stories, and I'd be like, oh, that's what came out. That's interesting. I used to do that with my music. Let me just see what comes out. Oh, I wrote a song. That's what came out. And that's what I did with my videos. I'm like, I'm just going to go with this and see what comes out of it. And oh, that's what came out of it. And I feel like I'm at a point where like I'm satisfied. I did it with short stories. I did it with music, and I did it with some videos. And I'm pretty satisfied at this point in time. So I'm not sure how long I'll keep making videos for. I might make them till the day I die. I might eventually stop, or I might stop tomorrow. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to make videos when I feel like making videos. And that's pretty much it. Everything might just be normal again. I might go back to making videos on a daily basis, or I might just start making videos once a month or once a week or once a year. I have no idea. I'm just going to go with it and see how it all unfolds, and that's it. So I'll just leave it at that. And yeah. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I can't even talk. I've talked so much that I have no energy to say the good day part. So I'll just say have a beautiful day, and that's it. Bye.